Hi, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to set up a 4-post lift. Don't forget to subscribe and check me out on Instagram and on Facebook at Clark Garage. Let's get started. Alright, so I picked up a 4-post lift a couple days ago. It's used. I've been looking at them for a long time. I want to be able to stack cars. I need a little bit more room in the garage. It's getting a little too cluttered. And this one ended up popping up in my town, so I ended up scooping it up. It's used, but it's very lightly used. It's a direct lift, and this is what it kind of looks like, and this is the stage that I'm at. So I got it kind of half-assed laid out. I got the poles somewhat standing in the corners that they came from. I got the crosser bars at each end. I have this one that the car drives on. It's oriented in the right direction and everything. This lip, if you look at it, there's a lip here, and then on the other side there's no lip, it's just flat. The lips go to the inside, so you're able to put your oil catchers and your working surfaces in the middle and have somewhere to stay. Over here we have our safety catches that will slip in, but we're not to that stage yet. And then we got our ramps. Here's our tool holder for when we're working underneath. And then the other crosser bar. I should be able to show it pretty good later, but just in case I can't, when we slip the catchers in, which is those slotted bars right there, they'll be slipping in these grooves right here and then catching on that latch. And I have 2 box of parts with it. Hopefully I have all the parts here. And then I also got the caster wheels. There's the oil drip pans. And it came with the jack to jack up the vehicle. So that's nice. So I can use it for doing brakes and everything if I really wanted. And then this piece right here, that gray piece, that's the cover that covers all our cables. But you have to have that off so you can run all your cables. And as you can see, looking at it, we have straight edge here facing the inside, and then our lip is facing the outside. So when we roll it over, that lip will be on the inside where we want it. So right now we have it oriented in the direction that we want it for making sure everything's in the right direction. So on one post we have a spot to mount the hydraulic pump. So the model number is PP8PPY 11BKD, and it's a 8,000 pound lift capacity, and the pump is 115 volt 15 amp single phase, so it should just plug right into a regular extension cord. And it is the gold certified lift as well. There's the name there, direct lift. Alright, so you're going to want to have your hydraulic cylinder extended out for setup. So I already got it pulled out. And then we got rotor cables. So since I'm getting this used, I'm not 100% sure how it would come new from the factory, but the little bit of research I did online, it looks like it already comes all together with the cables inside of here the way mine came. So you have the cables, you have your main cable here, there's 2 big nuts on it holding it, make sure that they're tight, but it does free float. These are just your nuts, so once there's tension on it, it's going to be in there good. And then we come up, we come around the pulley, make sure that you're in the pulley properly, and then we come to, I guess, be like a lift block, I guess we could call it. And then from there we have 4 smaller individual cables that will go to each post. So when we're doing our cables and making sure that they're routed properly, we want to make sure that they're not crossing or anything, because they'll end up getting ruined, and I'm sure they're pretty expensive to replace. So the cable on the so right now this is upside down, but we're going to call this the top side just because this is how we're looking at it, so it'll be easier to reference. So we're going to call this the top right cable. If we were to be looking like that, it would make it the right one, and it's top. So it's going to come up, and then it comes around, and it goes around the top pulley, and then it comes out. So this will end up going to our one post, and then the bottom right cable, it comes out and it goes around our bottom pulley and then loops straight back and shoots all the way down. So it's this cable here, and it comes around this pulley here and then out, and it will go to our other post. And then our top left cable, it comes out, and the middle set of pulleys, there's 2, so you got 2 on the right side if we're calling this way the front, and you're looking at it from this way, this would be the right. And then we have the middle, and there's 2 pulleys on it, so coming around the top pulley, and then it comes out here, which will go to our other post. And then our bottom left one, it comes out, it comes around the middle bottom pulley, and then the left pulley, it comes around there and curls around, and then it goes all the way to the other end. And then here it is here, coming out the other end. And we also have hydraulic hose coming off our cylinder. It goes in that little keeper. And then we come out, and there's a nut holding it out here so we can attach our hydraulic line to it. Alright, I got the one side together, and we're going to do the back side together and go from there. I would like to show how I rolled these over by myself. It worked pretty well. So this is the one with all the hydraulics and the cables on it, so it's extra heavy. And all I did was ratchet strap a 2x4 to it. You see the ratchet strap there. And then I used that end there as my handle, and I just carefully rolled it over, and I had no issues, and it wasn't too hard to do by myself. So far, getting everything together, I've done it all by myself. It's definitely easier if you have a second person, but nobody was available today, so I want to get it done, so I'm just going to do it by myself, and it's going pretty good. So we got to get our posts onto our crosser. So the stickers face out. And then you can tell, looking at it, where the pulley wheels are. The pulley wheels would be going towards the hoist. You'll see when the cables are run that they all line up. So that's another way to tell which way they go. And then we also have our locking mechanisms sticking towards the outside. So there's one post, and we're going to slip the other post on. So it's grooved, and that will just slip right over the Teflon. So just slip right over and then on, and then we just got to carefully walk this bar back It will be a little bit heavy, so don't hurt yourself. And when I did the front half, I didn't have it this high off the ground, but I wanted to get the cables on, and I was just having a hard time pulling the cables just with the weight of them and everything. So I just used my jack stands and brought the whole hoist up a little bit just so I get the cables on, and then that'd be one more thing done. Alright, so we're going to get this back half done. So I'm just lining it up into the grooves, and then I'm going to pull them together. Just like so. So I'm just sliding that, so it's roughly going to be the height of here, so I can roll it, and then I just got to walk it back with the jack underneath, and then tuck it in. Alright, so I'm just going to drop it down one end at a time, real careful. Watch your fingers and watch your back. And now I'm going to carefully walk the poles up. This is easier with two people. Best to have one person each side, but I'm just going to do it from the one side and go real easy. And now I can kind of slide it towards the hoist to get it in place. Right there's close. Now I'm going to lift this bar up to about the same height, and then we'll be able to get it all together. Alright, we got the post almost in place. We got our bar raised up almost all the way. Just with my floor jacks, I just keep jacking it up to get to the height that I have everything at right now. This is about as low as I can go with my jack stand, and the other end of the hoist is in the safety latches, so it's secured by that. So I'm going to bring the camera over, and we'll look at what I'm doing, and then we'll hit these bolts and get it together. Alright, so this is our beam that runs across. There's two holes up here that will fit these big bolts. And they line up with these holes. So I'm pretty close. I'm going to jack this up the rest of the way. And this will go on with those bolts, but we'll get those holes lined up first, and then we'll go from there. And it's the same thing on this side. And one thing worth noting, I haven't tightened these bolts up on the other end yet. I did tighten up the bolts up on top, but I didn't tighten up the bolts that hold everything together this way. because I wanted to wait till I got everything together and sitting at the same height to then tighten them up to make sure that everything is lined up and compresses properly. And now I'm going to jack it up so the weight is just slightly sitting on here, so everything's sitting nice and flat. Alright, so those bolts are lined up. So now we're going to slip this on so it goes bolt, and then there's a collar there. So that slips all the way on. And then on the back side there's going to be washer, and then lock washer, and then nut. And now we can get the other side. Alright, so we're going to swing it up. We're going to put our bolt in. And then flat washer. And then lock washer. And then our nut. And then that's what it looks like on the inside. So nut, lock washer, flat washer. Then we have all our cables and everything in here. So once we get actual weight on the cables, we'll triple check that nothing's rubbing. And before we tighten these up, I want to get the other side done too. And I want to get it sitting on the weight of the cables and everything lined up. And then tighten it up, and it will be good, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we're going to make sure our bolt holes are lined up. And they're not, this needs to come more this way, or this needs to go that way. And now that hole's lined up. And that hole's lined up. We'll take our bolts out, and then we can put this piece on. And this piece, the reason it's stubbed out is so we can fit our ramps, and the ramps will click in there, and your wheel chock stoppers will click in there. One thing to note too, when you're doing this, nothing is really that secure. So you don't want to, especially working by yourself, you don't want to be laying underneath anything. In case something happens and something falls on you, you might get crushed and seriously injured or killed, depending on how things happen. So that's a good reason to have a second person, or at the very least, be very conscious about where your body parts are and everything else. Just in case something does start to move or fall, you don't want to be in a pinch point and get hurt seriously. Alright, so that's all these bolts loosely in place. And next thing we're going to do, at least I'm going to do it, we're going to run our cables across and up through these guys on both sides, and then we can get our catches in, our top plates in, get the cables attached, and then we're on the home stretch for being able to make it move under its own power almost. Alright, next thing we're going to do, we're going to get our cable run up and through this metal piece here. So it's a Phillips screw. Down here we got to take off. So we'll take that screw off, and then that just lifts straight out of there. And then down in here, we got to take this bolt out, and it's hard to see right where my finger is. There's a locking nut on the back side, so we got to loosen that off too to get that right out. So the bolt head is a 14 mil, and the locking nut is a 13 mil. So we take that all the way out so it's out of our way. And then we grab our cable and we run it behind the pulley wheel and then in front of this little idler wheel. And this little idler wheel, when there's weight on the cable, tension on the cable, it releases a safety lock. And now we can put our nut back on the back side. And you want to make sure that the bolt is sticking out past the end of the nut, at least a little bit, so you know that the nylon that makes it a locking nut is fully engaged so it can't back out and fall out on you. Alright, so now that's all tight. And you should be left with something like that. So our cable comes around the far side of the pulley and then on the inside of the little idler. And as you can see, when I put tension on that, it releases the locking mechanism. And there's also a second locking mechanism that we have to manually release when we lower the hoist. And now we run our cable through our steel cover. And then we're able to put that back on, and we can put our bolt back in. Alright, next thing we're going to do, we're going to get our lock in, or our safety lock, but we're going to attach this to the top of it first, because it'll be a little bit easier. When I did the other side, I slipped it in and all the way down, and I had to put a bar underneath, and then I had to hold both lock releases at the same time, and then step on the pry bar to get it to come up, because it was down too far to get the bolt out. So I'm going to put the bolt through this and then slip it in, and I think it'll be a little bit easier. So this is what it looks like. So basically, as you raise it up, and then your lock will catch one of these grooves, so if something happens that starts to come down, it should hold the hoist from it so it can't just completely drop. Like if you have a cable that breaks or something else breaks, that should be your safety, that should hold it. We're going to take one nut all the way off, and we're going to take the washer off as well. And then there's two holes in these pieces, and they're directional. So you can see the cable comes up on this side, so the further out hole is for the cable, and then the further in hole is for the safety. And then the one in my right hand, it's for the other side, and you can see that they're a mirrored image You can set their mirrored image. So like if you take it and flip it over, it's like that. But if you were to try to put this one on this side, your hole would be in the wrong spot and your cable would be doing a big cross, adding extra tension on it, and you want that cable pulling straight up and down. So just make sure that your hole lines up with your cable. So I'm just going to slip this on. And then it goes washer and then nut. So now we're going to slip it in, and we're going to slip it into these two grooves, and that ensures that's in the right place for the locks to catch it. So we're going up, and then into that groove. And now we can slip that top cap in place, and everything will kind of be in place for us. We just want to make sure that our holes all line up. So spin that. And these brackets coming off that top cap, they go inside of the channel. Just like so. And now we're going to put our bolts in, and we're going to tighten it down. So there's 4 bolts that hold it in place. And they're a 19 mil head and nut. 3/4 would work too. So you're gonna go bolt and flat washer, and then when you get it in, you're gonna go flat washer, locking washer, and then your nut. And now we're going to use a wrench on the inside and a ratchet on the outside and tighten it down. And now we're going to kind of set the height of all of these, so there's about the same amount of bolt sticking out of the top. I have more on this one than the other ones, so I'm going to lower it down a little bit. So when you have it on the sitting on the locks, if your vehicle's not setting level, you adjust these bolts here for your catches, up or down on all the appropriate spots to level it out, and that's how you level it. So that looks about the same and feels about the same as the other ones. I didn't measure, like the garage floor probably isn't perfect, so I'm probably gonna have to adjust it when I have it in its final resting spot. But for now they'll be good enough, and I can tighten it down so it's kind of snug. Alright, and now our next step is to run our cable up. So for hardware on our cable, we have a flat washer and then a nylon locking nut, and that will sit on the top. So I'm going to put it in my pocket so I can use both hands to get the cable up. And when we're bringing the cable up, you want to make sure that it's still sitting in that idler wheel, because you can see it when you look down, just so you know everything's on the pulleys and the idler is the way it's supposed to be. So when I tried doing the other side, I had the lift basically sitting on the ground, and I just couldn't muscle the cables up high enough. I was having trouble by myself. So that's why I brought the lift up to a higher height, because it's, as you can see, it's much easier. We got that up, and then we put our nut on. And then once you hit the nylon, it's going to get tight. So I have my vice grips so they're just tight enough to hold it, but not a lot of force. Just to kind of hold it. I rest it against the beam, and then I can tighten that nut pretty easily. And you don't ever want to clamp on the actual cable itself. And even clamping on this, you don't want to overdo it. You just want to, just enough, like if you're using like a pair of pliers or something. And these are kind of the same idea as the catch there. When you're raising the vehicle up, if it's not raising up level, this would be your adjustment to adjust how it pulls on everything. So I have about 1 inch sticking up on all the bolts that I've done so far. I'm going to do the same on these ones, and hopefully it should be pretty close, if not right on. Alright, I'm going to try that for now. It's pretty close to the other ones. And now we're going to go to the other side. And these cables are going to be loose right now because we have it raised up, but the piston didn't raise it up, so there's no tension on it. That's why they're nice and loose and easier to work with. Alright, now we're going to take our cable and we're going to run it through the their platform. We just run it through and then feed all the slack. Okay, just kind of like so. And when we're actually lifting, that cable is going to be tight and it's not going to go anywhere. One thing the previous owner did do, they numbered everything where they had it before they took it apart. So that helped me put everything back the way it was before I got it, which was nice. So we take our cap off. And now we need to take that bolt out. Alright, so that bolt's out, and now we can run our cable. So we're going outside of the pulley and then inside of the idler. And now we can put our bolt back in. Now our nut. Alright, and now we're going to put our catch in place. So we're going to put the top plate on the catch, and then we're going to slip it all in. Alright, and now we can go up, get it in, and get our bolts on and tightened up. Alright, my battery died, and I did a little bit of work off camera there. But I tightened the end bolts to hold the runners on. It was a 1 16th inch wrench that I used, and a 27mm socket. So I just held the wrench inside, and then use the ratchet to tighten it up nice and snug, or nice and tight. The rod that runs in the runner, I opened the garage door and slipped that in already, so it's partly done for the safety locks. So you can see this rod right here, it comes through, and we have a fitting there. I just gotta run the rod from the other side in. I'm probably going to raise it up a little bit first. And here that is on the back side. This is what ends up actuating our releases. I just slipped these in just to get them off the floor. So So there's 4 of those stops. So there's already the 2 at that side and 2 at this side. And you just pull these out, and then you put your ramps in, and then you're able to drive your vehicle on top. And then on each crosser piece, we have an eyelet, and it threads into the frame. And our safety rod is going to fit through that. Right around there, looks close. And then here's our rod. So I'm going to take this end off so I can fit it through that eye, and then we can kind of get that in place too. So with the hardware off the end, we're able to slip it through. So we just come right through. Just like so. And then we can put our hardware back on. So our nut goes on first. And then our Hoist joint. And then we're going to use 2 wrenches to cinch that snug. It's a 12 mil on the Hoist joint and a 10 mil on the nut. And then this nylon lock nut is also a 10 mil. And we just take this and we slip it on, and then we put our lock nut back on. Alright, that's good there. Alright, when you tighten this up, you see how that wants to spin? You can just take a wrench and hold it in there like that, and then it won't move on you. It'll stay right where you want it. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to shove our rod in. So there's a spacer that just floats on here, and that stays on the outside on both sides. And I have the nut off, so we're going to shove this in through the hole right here. And then on our runner, there's a spot that this fits in. When we shove this underneath, we'll go and have a look and make sure it's in the right spot. And then when you tighten it up, you want this to be straight up and down or close to it, and the handle sticking up. If you have the handle sticking down, when you lower the hoist down, the handle would hit. So you want to have the handle up. So we just shove it in the hole. And now we'll go underneath and we'll see how close we are. Alright, so there's our rod right here. And then there's the keeper that it slips into. And then we're going to thread these 2 into each other. But we're going to put our nut on first. Alright, we're going to connect our linkages. So this stays roughly where we want it. And then we'll go underneath and we'll do that coupling up and tighten it. And then that part will be good. So the one coming from the far side goes on the top on both ends. So then when you pull it, it's pulling it away from the arm to release the lock. And the one closest to it always goes to the bottom. So again, with this motion, it pulls it away to release the lock. There's one rod or linkage, and now we can do the last linkage. Alright, so we got those on. So when we pull this down, they're going to want to actuate out. And now we just got to go underneath and connect that coupling. But at least with these on now, it holds the handle where we want it. Alright, so let's go underneath. So now we're able to just line those up and thread this coupling over. Oh, I should mention that off camera I had got the motor and pump and everything on. All it is 4 bolts on the bracket. So it's just these 4 bolts here. I came from the back side out. I thought it'd be better. I just thought it'd be easier to have the bolt sticking out and kind of slightly hang the motor and pump assembly on it. So I did it all by myself. And then the line just connects into there. And now we're going to put our wheels on to move them. These wheels only go on when you're going to lower the hoist down and move it somewhere without a vehicle on it. And it's made for moving with just the weight of the hoist, not with the weight of a vehicle. So you can see I got the other ones already on. And we're going to do this one here. So all we do is we pull the pin out and it will go through here. And then when we lower the hoist down, it will pick the legs up. So just go through, get the pin comes through, and then put your cotter pin in, and that's it. So those are all done. And this model just comes with a 120 volt cord plug-in. And then when you want to go up, you just hit the green button here. And then once you get to the desired height that you want, you hit this lever here, and it will drop down and put weight on the latches, so then it's nice and safe. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of clearance underneath. So off camera, I'm going to put the cover back on here, but it just slips in the groove, and then you put the catcher on the other side and screw it back into these little tabs. And then we're going to lower it down, and we're going to watch it pick up, and so we can try to roll it around a little bit. Alright, so we gave everything a quick once over. We got our cover on underneath, but before we put our cover on, we checked to make sure our cables were sitting in the pulley wheels okay. So now we're going to lower it down onto the wheels so we can wheel it forward just a little bit. So it should give me enough room to put the ramp so I can drive a vehicle on and test it. So let's give her a whirl. Alright, so we're on the wheels right there. And now we should be able to wheel this ahead a little bit. Alright, I wheeled it forward a little bit. Could roll a little bit easier, could roll a little bit harder, but not too bad. It's definitely movable. So we're going to pick it back up, take the wheels off, and then we can try a vehicle on it. Alright, for taking our wheels off, it's the same thing. Remove the cotter pin, remove the big pin, and then just wheel it out of the way, and then put your hardware back in just so it doesn't get lost. So, cotter pin, big pin, and then shove the big pin back in, and the cotter pin. And now that leg's ready for service. Got to do it a couple more times, and then we're ready to get a vehicle on it. All right, I got the sidekick up on the lift. I already lifted it all the way up, and I drove my truck underneath to make sure everything fits. And I got the truck out. I was going to throw the truck on and just make sure everything goes okay with that. But I figured I should show a video of it going up. And also we want to put our wheel chocks in. So these right here are our wheel chocks. So we want to go on one of the tires, both sides. And then it can't roll away. And it also comes with these stopper plates. So we could shove those in too. So if it does start to roll, there's a little extra protection. I'm not going to go all the way up. I'm going to go part way up and show how it works, and then put it back down, and that'll be the end. So once we get to our desired height, we're going to hit the relief valve right here, and we're just going to slowly lower it down, and then our locks will catch. So we hit it, and now all our weight's sitting on the locks. And then when we want to raise it up or lower it down to the ground, our locks are locked in. So you got to raise it up a bit until you can pull the lever, and then you can lower it down. So we're able to release our locks, and now we're going to go down by using this lever here. Yeah, it's all the way down, and then we're going to remove our wheel chocks, the stopper plates, and we can back it out. Alright, I'm going to end this video here. So this truck fits on as the 2003 GMC Sierra with the extended cab and the 6.5 foot box. Is very tight. So our stoppers, I might put a tiny little kick in just so the wheel can come a little bit further forward. but we are able to get them in on the back too. It's just very, very tight, but we're able to get it. And there's the jacking platform. And then right over here is the 3 oil tray catchers that will just slip in on the track. I still need to make some tweaks on this final level, but this isn't where I'm going to keep the hoist. I'm actually putting it in the back corner and putting my 36 up on it and probably my 97 underneath most likely. And that'll free up a lot of floor garage space, which is the reason why I wanted this. So this would be really nice for spraying oil as well. So I may use it for that sometimes. But right now we're sitting, the locks aren't fully catching, so I have to adjust some levels. But I'm going to do that once I get it where it's going to stay 99% of the time, and it will be pretty good. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button, and check me out on Instagram and Facebook now at Claro Garage. If you have any questions on this, don't hesitate to ask. This is the first one that I set up. I bought it used, and it was pretty easy. I set it up in 2 days, minus the final tweaking on leveling, and it went pretty good. I've been working nights this week, so I did it over 2 days between my night shifts, so it's not too bad. And I did it with no help either. So if you have somebody helping you standing up the poles and moving stuff around, it'll go even quicker. So it's not too bad. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.